Welcome to episode, I think 12, maybe 11 of REIclosers. We got Adam Moore on here. Adam is in a real estate network that we met in Texas, that we probably talked about a lot. You're a realtor and investor, so kind of cool going both ends because we don't have a ton of people that we've had on that are actually doing realtor side of things. So I want to go deep into that. How you were engineering in college, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how he went from that and kind of dropped the engineering thing to go bet on himself, I guess, to real estate, and has been killing it with listings and now investing, being able to use capital to get that into more the investment side of things, versus just being a realtor. So what school did you go to?
I went to Texas Tech
Okay. And you graduated, were you?
in 2021.
Okay. So you're older than me, and you went full engineering all the way through school, right?
Yeah, I did. So did 4 years of college, graduated in engineering, worked for NASA for 2 years. Then I worked for L3 Harris after that, which is another private aerospace company, and ended up leaving that after I first bought my house, and then went full time into real estate as an agent.
There we go. So you did do a year of work after graduating? That
Only,
wasn't
yeah, 7 months.
7
7
months,
months, and then I quit.
but you were able to purchase, was it the house in Greenville?
Yes. So I got a scholarship whenever I graduated from
Mhm.
engineering. I took that money and was able to apply it to my first house. And I got a conventional loan with 5% down. And that led me into house hacking. And then after I kind of saw how lucrative it was and how I felt like a lot of the skills that I had kind of associated to real estate, that's whenever I ended up deciding to take the leap of faith and jump in.
Dang. Yeah, I think to break it down too, I mean, I'm curious because I see like even yesterday you posted like 6 deals that you had either under contract or listed as a realtor. How many transactions have you done buying, selling,
Man, okay.
on that
Yeah.
side of like on just the realtor side?
I think it's over 40. I
Okay.
don't have the exact number for y'all, but it's like 45 ish
Mhm.
right now.
A lot of those, were you
And
the buyer agent, listing
a
agent?
lot of the buyers, yeah. So I do a lot of buyer representation. Usually, whenever you get into real estate as an agent, it's usually you're working with buyers, and then later on you transition into the sellers. Um, Man, yeah, I'd say that when you're a first time agent or the first year, it's typical to get 4 to 6 transactions within that first year. A normal average producing real estate agent is around 6 to 12 transactions a year.
Maybe. I feel like
And
that sounds high
yeah,
because I feel like the average realtor, I mean, this is kind of like sales, like 80% of the people or 20% of the people do 80% of the production.
yeah. Definitely
But
depends on what market. Like if you're in
right,
LA selling $2 million houses, every house, it's like one or two and you're
right.
good, right? But yeah, 40 plus
40 or
transactions
so.
at
And that's
this
in
point.
like what, the past 2 years, was it?
Yeah, I think it's coming up on 2
Yeah.
years.
Okay. That's crazy because I think when a lot of people go into engineering, I did the same thing. I went into college. I was like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. I didn't think anything like I was good at math and science. Thought that was like the highest paying job. And then did you get into it and just not like it? Or did you buy that rental property? Like, were you already into real estate?
Man, I think buying the property first like got me
Yeah.
into real estate. And then I had a couple of friends in Lubbock that were agents and I just saw them on a day-to-day basis working, and I'm like, man, I really like this. I think a lot of my skills can transfer over to that. And
Right.
also I just engineering as a whole, like I didn't see myself doing that full time, even though I was really good at numbers. I just like, man, real estate's the way to go.
Right. Yeah. I see people that are doing not necessarily less work than you, but like maybe a better lifestyle or like increase in income. I'm sure you were just on a salary, right? At engineering.
You're on a salary, and
Mhm.
like I kind of noticed that the more work that I put into this company, I wasn't getting any results different. I
You're
could
right.
just slack off and nothing would change. And I knew that, real estate's like an what is it?
Yeah.
Eat
Eat
what
what
you
you kill.
kill type personality. So, if I knew that I was just driving and pushing myself even harder, the results are going to follow.
Right. I think that's it. A lot of people want to get into real estate. The first thing is like we definitely went on a different angle just because I kind of saw wholesaling after I was doing sales. But it's like getting your license is a great way for a lot of people to probably start if they want to learn about it. But it's also like you learn the by the book version versus like the investing side. So, how many deals did you do? I guess your house buying that house was the first deal you technically did, right? house hack?
Technically, yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't counting that one, but yeah,
Yeah. First real estate transaction.
first real estate transaction, and then kind of what you were just saying. Uh, you know, I thought originally, in order to become an investor, you had to most likely become an agent in order to learn, helping other people buy and sell real estate before you kind of do it yourself.
Right.
Which I fully recommend. I mean, it definitely helped me a lot. But then you take people like Jackson, which was in your last podcast, and it's like, he was able to get into it, with zero experience within real estate, I believe. And man, he just
Yeah.
had the salesman and the drive, and I mean, he was able to do it.
Yeah.
So
As most people, I feel like in the wholesale world is like you see all those social media posts. It's kind of like a big topic, but it's like, okay, you don't need your license. You don't necessarily need experience. Like if you can just go out and talk to enough people, which is like, yeah, there's a little bit more to it, but really it's like if you can bring a lead, if you have the network and you can go find a good deal, like you can go wholesale it and not necessarily have to have any of that experience, but then you're going to start putting yourself into situations where you learn more about what is a deal, like all that, versus you probably learned that in school in a way.
yeah,
But yeah, that's interesting. So you do about 40 plus transactions right now. How many do you have listed currently?
currently I have two,
Okay. And then you
two, I
just
believe.
got, I guess as far as the investment side, that first
Or no, I'm sorry, I think three.
three.
Right now, yeah.
Okay. I guess listed is different than how many are you representing on the buyer's side? Is that the same?
No, three listed on the market to sell.
Okay.
Right, so they're just on Zillow, and then buyer side, I think I have two under contract that are
Gotcha.
pending,
Okay. Very good. So then,
and then one wholesale deal right now.
yeah, that's
So
what I was about to say. So that
yeah,
first, we'll get to that too, but that first deal you bought, because I think a lot of people coming out of college, especially see this, like younger people. I did the same thing where I didn't use a scholarship. That's kind of cool. Did you straight up use that money from a
straight up,
grant, like a scholarship from when you graduated?
yeah.
Okay.
So kind of a backstory here. I tried very very hard in college
Yeah.
because I planned on going into the Air Force as a pilot. So they take a very very competitive application. And man, I was going all in on my studies, all in on extracurricular. And there was this award at the very end of the year that presented to the most prestigious engineer at Texas Tech. And I just, by the grace of God, got it. And they gave me quite a bit of sum, in my
Really?
pocket. And I took that and put it all towards my down payment. And that's how I was able to get that house.
Dang, I didn't even know that.
Hmm.
That's why this is fun. I just curious. So you basically won top engineer at Texas Tech. They have a pretty like prestigious engineering program too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you just grinded all 4 years, making what 4.0, and then
Yeah, I think it
something.
graduates so like high up, not
Yeah,
4.0, but
close,
somewhere
close.
up there.
And then what else made it like? What were they? Was it all based on the application? Or was there something
It,
else you did? Was it service hours? Like,
yeah, I think it had the combination between like my work experience in NASA because I interned there for a
okay,
couple years. I was involved in like the honors program. I was involved in like four different other organizations. I was in a fraternity. I served a lot of leadership roles, and then on top of that, just overall good grades. And like I had the relationship with the professors. There was a lot of like
right.
things that overlooked this award, but yeah, man,
That's
that's
crazy.
kind of how I
That's
got
cool
it.
to see though, because like that just sounds like you're the epitome of like an ideal student. Which like if you're going to be in the Air Force, like that's like they want to see all that.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I was too. Though is like just make good grades and I'll get a good job and then I'll make good money. And like didn't think anything of like how can I increase my income more than just like a high salary. But how? So you go through NASA, you get that award. They're thinking top engineer. Everyone's like, okay, you're going into engineering. Did you work with NASA after you said, or was it a different job?
I interned there for 2
Okay.
years. I then transferred over to L3 Harris,
Oh, L3 Harris.
which
Okay.
that aerospace company is located out in Greenville, Texas, which is like an hour northeast of Dallas. It's a smaller town, and man, that's where I got my feet wet in real estate, and I was like, okay, I need to move to Dallas or somewhere in DFW in order to start like focusing on that market
Right.
instead. Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the start of your. I remember you told me about this because you went and bought that house. You did 5% down. You were gonna house hack it, or you did for a little bit, right? And then you have all these engineering, recent graduates that are making probably decent money compared to any other, career. But you move into the real estate field, so now you have. Didn't you just end up renting that house by the room?
It's currently being rented by the room to these L3
Yeah.
Harris employees. And another thing is that company, all of their employees get background checks and
Okay.
a security clearance, which is like $10,000, So I know these tenants are going to be good and they're, good for their money. And
That's
so,
crazy. So how I want to kind of break down that deal because you
okay.
put 5% down. What was the purchase price? It was
$225.
okay. Is it Greenville? So is it older house or no?
It's brand new.
Okay, brand new. So basically no maintenance problems, right? Brand
Yep.
new. 225. You probably got a good interest rate if you bought it right after you graduated, right?
Yes, I got a 3.5% interest rate.
Okay, which you can't really get unless you're buying subject to, which we talk about. But on the market, you get it at 3.5. That's like the same time I think I bought my first one in Norman. It's like 3.
That's cool, man.
Literally 3.
Is that what got you into real estate as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Well, I went and did door to door because of the guy that recruited me was in real estate. So I was like, oh, I'll go do sales to get into real estate. So I kind of had that in my mind already. But yeah, I went out and did the exact same thing. I put 5% down. There's like a 3.5% interest rate.
Oh, nice.
Now it's on Airbnb. But so with this, 225,000. Mine
Yeah.
was like $190,000 house. So I'm assuming your payments are like what, 1,500?
$1,450.
Okay, so 1,400. And then you now rent it by the room. Is it a 3-bedroom?
It's a 3-bedroom, yeah.
Okay. And how much is each? So the crazy part is you were working at this job, and now you're just using the people that are already needing to be right there to rent by the room that you know, or you're just reaching out to the company?
Some of them I do know. Some of them I just blast in the Facebook page that we have within L3 Harris, and
Okay.
a lot of people just hit me up, or sometimes I'll find them off Airbnb or Furnish Finder. I kind of go all over the market to find these people.
You still in that Facebook group?
Yeah, I'm still in that Facebook group.
They kept you around?
Yeah, they kept me around.
So you got $900 a month per room though?
Or was it something? It definitely varies room to room, and I change it tenant to tenant based on their their lease term. So it could be like a 3-month lease or a year-long lease. But I would say all in all, this property is pretty much cash flowing around $1,500 a month.
That's crazy. What's your rent right now?
Like with the 3,
just where you live.
Oh, $1,200.
$1,200.
Yeah. So it's paying my entire rent.
Paying your rent. Yeah, that's why it's like he said the same thing. We're sitting in our apartment that Jackson and I are now living in. And it's like we only this beautiful view, and I think our total rent's like $2,450 that we split. So it's like $1,200. I'm like, okay. I don't really think about it this way, but it's like, okay, the Airbnb cash flows like $1,200, sometimes $3,000 a month, and then I have 4 other properties cash flowing like $400 to $500, but I don't ever touch that. I just leave it in like an account, so I don't feel like it pays my rent, but technically it does. But that's crazy. So you're getting at least $1,500 in a normal 3-bedroom house. Yeah,
and I think a lot of people don't realize like the other benefits of this, right? Because I bought this house at $225 back in 21, right? It's probably I could sell it on the market today for $295. Right. So that, I mean, the equity behind that already, and then on top of that, I'm paying off the loan of this house. So I probably only owe about $200,000, and now it's worth $295. So the amount of equity that I gained over time,
and the tax benefits.
Which
not everyone is super familiar with that, but if you own a property like this year, I'm actually probably gonna have to do cost segregation on like 2 of them, which I didn't really expect to have to do because usually it's more like multifamily commercial, but you can do it on single family. But yeah, you can depreciate a residential house is like if you just straight line depreciate it, like divide it by 27.5. So if the value of the house is, let's just say 300, divide that by 27 years, and you can write that off every single year on your taxable income. Unless you go in and you want to do like a whole cost segregation study, then you could write off like 35% of it. But being able to do that every single year, that's why people pick up properties. It's like, okay, they're appreciating. Now I can write off taxes and I can cash flow. So
and on top of that, like, so for instance, it has been, now 2 years since I've owned the property or more now. And what you can do, I can go out and get approved of another conventional loan, because the conventional loan, they look at 2 things, your debt and your income, right? And because that property, I have a debt of $1,450 a month, and then it's cash flowing, X amount. What these bankers will do, they'll take 75% of that rental income from that property and count it towards your, overall income. So it pretty much negates my entire payments on my house on the other house, the house in Greenville, and then you're able to get approved of another conventional loan.
Right.
So I think a lot of people that are, working W-2 jobs or just, not fully into real estate, that's like the best way to do it. Just buy a house, then 2 years later buy another house, 2 years later buy another
Right.
house, and continuously do that.
Especially if they can live in it for a year, because
Dude,
you
yeah.
get the lower percent down. You're supposed to live in there as a homestead for a year, and then you go either rent out the rooms while you're there and then lease out the rest of them when you leave. If you can do rent by the room, that's crazy, because that's like very lucrative model that's people are trying to replicate with like sober living or assisted living, but like just getting roommates to live in there. It's like now you're paying by the room, when that rent, I would assume the rent rate on that house is only like what, 20, is it probably 2,100? Like,
Yeah, it's somewhere around there. Maybe even a little less.
Maybe, yeah, I would assume less, honestly.
I haven't
Looking at it,
checked.
'cause it'd probably be like 18 to maybe 2,000, but you're able to get more by renting out each room.
Yeah, I do have the place furnished. That's like another key detail I
Okay,
didn't include.
right. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
going to be a plus anywhere, because now you can
Yeah.
have 3-month stays, 1-month stays, rather than like they gotta bring
Exactly.
in everything to furnish it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, that's cool. So that was your first deal. Now you're doing all the listings or the buyer side on the agent, right? So you're picking up commission on all of these.
Yeah.
And are you using immediately? Did you use that to like invest? I know you went into this real estate network I'm in. Like, how'd you go from, okay, I'm going to put this into like property, or am I going to invest in myself? Like, what did it look like after that when you started making money? Because obviously 40 deals, whether you're agent side commission,
Yeah.
wholesaling, that's a good amount of money.
Yeah, that's I didn't have really a strategy with it. I just kind of accumulated money that I used, towards the network, or before I even joined the network, there was a property that me and a friend of mine bought out in Fort Worth, and that took quite a bit of cash down. But then we were able to flip it and make quite a bit of profit. But I would say that I just use all of my cash that I'm able to save and just dump it back into real estate.
So you did a flip. How long ago was that?
Man, that was back in March
of last year. So literally almost a year ago.
When I say flip, it was more of like a wholesale
Right.
type
You
situation.
didn't put
Like
much work into it.
we went out there and cleaned it up. That's about it.
Yeah. We just did one of those that had a huge profit, but it was in like a small town. So you bought it cash with a buddy, you said?
Bought it cash with a buddy,
How much was the purchase price?
and it was, I want to say, 65,000.
Okay.
Now we
Was it
did pay
Fort Worth?
back taxes and everything, so it ended up being like 71,000.
71. And did it need a bunch of work?
Dude, yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
This place is bad.
Wait, how'd you find the deal?
I think he found it through. He used to live in that neighborhood.
Okay.
And grew up in Fort Worth, and I want to say that he was just out in the neighborhood and was speaking to somebody, and they were like, "Hey, yeah, I know LaDonna's looking to sell her house,"
Yeah.
and then so he went over and talked to her, and we were able to put a deal together.
Huh.
So
Is he an agent or no?
he's not. No, another engineer I met at Tech.
He just knew you were kind of doing it?
He
or-
knew I was in real estate, and we became friends over time.
Yeah.
Like talking business, or back in college we were hanging out,
Right.
and he was like, "You know what? We should do this together." So
That's funny. So you just, and that's, I think a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I was at a birthday party over the weekend, and someone came up to me and was like, yeah, we found this like same situation. Like, she's just trying to sell it. It's like in Tulsa. Like, they were trying to like get all the numbers to flip it. I was like, they thought I was like flipping a lot of properties. I was like, you can also wholesale it. He's like, I don't know what any of this means, but he's like, we can get it cheap. So it's like, you can run into these situations everywhere.
Wow.
But y'all closed on it at 71. What did you end up? You cleaned it up, like got some junk out of there, and
Yeah.
what did it end up selling for, or did you list it?
We just sold it on Facebook Marketplace for 125.
Holy wow!
Yeah,
So you
so
just
125.
And through, you didn't even. Why didn't you list it?
That was something that we kind of look back on. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't list it.
Yeah.
Because we just thought, okay, well, we don't want to pay a buyer's agent commission. We also
Yeah.
didn't want to pay I would have to pay my broker, a certain fee.
Right.
We just decided to kind of do it on the market. And man, looking back on it, it went on. This is crazy. It went under contract to a wholesaler. Like the wholesaler was trying to,
like
wholesale
flip
it out, and we didn't know at the time. It was kind of like one of the first times I've gotten into this business, is like the other side of real estate, and they ended up not being able to sign the contract, so we got their earnest money.
Okay.
And then we put it under contract again. We got their earnest money. We put it under contract again,
So you
and got their earnest money. We got $7,000 total in earnest deposits.
Oh my
So
god.
this really beat up house in Fort Worth, where we're making $7,000 off of 2 months of just failed contracts.
Just
And
people that were trying to resell
but
it.
the fourth time we finally got it, and
It was at 125.
125, and he for sure overpaid for that property. Like, I have
Jeez.
no idea how he
What
made
did
any
it? What do you
money.
think it? Did you ever look back at like
Yep,
what
it's on Zillow now for 200,000. And
It's
this,
on Zillow right now.
yeah, it's still on
Oh, so
Zillow.
he's
$60,000 worth of
yeah, so he's out.
repairs.
Yeah, he's
So
losing.
I don't know how he's making it
He's
now.
losing money. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I see that happen sometimes, and that's why people are like, "I need this much," and it's like, dude, you can lose money on these if you're, especially if you're, going in, putting all that work and betting on the market to like put some sort of number that you expected to get. But that's crazy though. So you ended up getting like over 50,000 just from
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and then you split it with your buddy.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then was it there? Did you just like, okay, like I'm gonna start investing more? Like,
That's whenever
yeah,
I had a great experience with my buddy, and we kind of built that relationship there. And I was like, man, I need to keep going to get more deals.
yeah.
So
Was that? I mean, for him, like being an engineer, he just picked up like an extra 25K on the side. Like he's like
yeah,
25 to 30.
yeah, I know.
Has he done more real estate deals since then, or is he kind of just like
He has.
really?
He bought another property out in Fort Worth.
Okay.
Another one that's it's like a single family along with 2 units in the back. And then on top of that, so yeah, it's 2 units in the back, like a back house, and then a single family residence, and then it's sitting on a double lot. So like the other lot can be used for another,
Yeah.
multifamily residence. So, and he secured that for a good price. And man, it's like he's out there fixing it himself currently.
Yeah. So he's really going out
No,
there. That's a
he's
total
going out
engineer
there.
thing to do right
Uh
there.
huh.
But not saying that it's bad if he's got the time and wants to do it. But dang. So did he find that on the market or no?
He found it off market
Really?
and was like following up with this lady for like 9 months.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
like, I think a lot of people don't realize that he's probably in no real estate networks. Maybe I don't know.
No, yeah. So he has a contact that kind of got him into it and more of a mentor.
Okay.
But at the same time, he's just a sharp dude
Yeah.
and just full steam ahead, just went for it. So
Anyone can go find deals if
100%.
you just look for it, drive around, find crappy houses, like connect with people at meetups. It's not anything special. You don't have to be a realtor. You don't have to like pay much money to go into a mentorship. Like we did that to get around other people just because we wanted to invest in ourselves and it's fast tracked it, but it's like it's not always super feasible. That's funny though. So you go do that. How long ago did you join the big dog group that we were in?
Man, I want to say since like September,
September. Okay.
somewhere around there.
Yeah, I remember I met you at like a Pace. I think it was like a power hour. I saw
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
and then you were like calling me, bringing me leads from Grant, and I had no idea that was you. And then I like followed me on Instagram. I was like, oh my god, it's the same person.
Yeah, I didn't realize that too.
No, it's funny. Yeah, he was cold calling some like foreclosures and other leads, and we've worked on a handful of them that just never. I don't think any of them really panned
No,
out.
none of them panned out.
One of them will hit eventually, but what is your focus right now? Because I know you said you had a wholesale deal, that one in Granbury?
One in Granbury, yeah.
What was that? That looked like a mess. Was it like a mobile home?
Yeah, it's not a teardown, but it's a property that. So let me backtrack. I recently purchased a promissory note that was secured by land out in Granbury. And I was speaking to the borrower one day, the guy that's paying me every month for this property, and he was like, "Hey, man, I know the neighbors are looking to sell their house. Like, would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah, shoot me their number." So I found out that these neighbors were marketing their property on OfferUp.com,
Oh my god.
which is not even a website for homes, right? I don't even
Yeah.
think you can sell
It's
property
like
on there.
eBay or something.
So I was like, "Man, this is the perfect time to like talk to them, see if they want to sell." And unfortunately, their father passed away, and I was like, "Hey, I'll give you X amount for this property." And actually, it was $30,000,
Mhm.
and now we're under contract or assign the contract for 45.
That's
So,
sweet. So just a little quick $15,000 wholesale.
yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. So 30,000. I think again, a lot of people. There's some people that don't wholesale or know all this. It's like you didn't ever expect probably to close on that at 30. You don't have to have 30 grand laying in the bank account. It's just he got it under contract at a discount and assigned it to a buyer. How'd you find this buyer?
we found it through
Okay.
Facebook Marketplace, or we put out bandit signs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I want to say this one was on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just posted like, hey, we got a deal for
hmm
45,000. Like, put pictures on it. And
Yeah. Yeah. And another route we may be taking on with this specific buyer is giving him an option to owner finance. So instead of that reduced price of $45,000 cash, we're looking to sell it to him for $70,000 over the course of 30 years. So that's just another way that you can create this, quote unquote, passive income.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Because this is probably an individual. Then they're not even an investor. They just
it's
want to.
it's a contractor. Yeah, he's looking to well, I'm sorry, he's looking to homestead it,
Gotcha.
right?
But he
But
already
fix
is
it
a
up himself. Yeah,
right.
for a
So
low
for
price.
him, if he can get a lower down payment and just pay you every month, you're going to earn a lot more interest,
Mm-hmm.
more principal over time.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. So you've been doing a lot of these deals, then dabbling, like consistently doing the realtor part of school, because now you're getting like it gives you an avenue to get into the investment space and not necessarily have to be like not
Huge.
creating
Yeah.
any sort of income, which I think some people
Mm-hmm.
can do that with their W-2 too, like their
Yeah.
W-2 job, whereas they're making money, but now they can do this on the side to invest
Mm-hmm.
or do wholesale deals. But I do want to touch on this too, because this is crazy. Like the reason everyone that comes on these is like the same thing. Like they're all driven. Like there's a reason they're doing well. You're young. Like most people would never in the first place, like not even that this is for everyone, right? But like quit a stable, good salary job to go bet on yourself and do that. Like how did your family think when you did that? And then like anyone else that was around you, people you're working with, like professors, anything, like what did they think?
Yeah. So I've built quite a track record in the past with engineering or flying or anything else that I'm kind of putting my mind to. So my parents were very, very supportive all the way through. Of course, they're going to question, you just got a 4-year
Yeah.
degree and then you're now leaving that in order to join like an entirely different market. And of course, that's like a valid concern. But they were like, you know what, Adam, I know you're going to kill it. So just like keep on pushing forward. Now, other people, of course, they're going to like,
Yeah.
why did you go through engineering and do that? So, I did have that kind of pushback. Now here's what really put me in a position in my own mind of, when I left engineering, like I said, I graduated with that award, and kind of my whole
Mm-hmm.
life been told like, oh, you're so good at what you do, you're killing it in engineering. So then whenever you leave, I kind of put myself at ground zero again.
Right.
Right. I was terrible at real estate. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to go about it. Of course, I had mentors helping me, but like it was very, very humbling, to put yourself at the bottom. And I think a lot of people are afraid to do that and restart,
Right.
because
It's a lot. Like
it's a
that's the
lot.
same thing whenever I was going through and I was like, okay, I'm gonna drop this internship, like different degrees of it, but I had this internship ready to go. Like I was supposed to go supply chain management.
I
Not
didn't
very
know that.
exciting. Yeah.
I
I
didn't know
dropped the
that.
internship with like a month left in school just to go do door to door sales. And like anyone around, like my brother, my dad, they were very supportive. Like they weren't saying not doing it, but the people like in our like the advisor I had to reach out to or people that I was around was like, okay, well, is this a scam? Like, is this legit? And I just knew I want to get in real estate. And I was like, if I can go make 20 grand in the summer, like he said, like I'll gladly go do this and end up, making a lot more than that. So, getting into that, starting from ground zero, not knowing sales, and then restarting it and doing solar is like the same thing. Now it's like restarting again to learn real estate. But it's like if you've already done it once, you put in way much harder work probably to do everything you did in school to get to the top
I
engineering
agree.
student.
I
But it's like
agree.
now I can become a realtor. There's people that
Mm-hmm.
are you probably look at someone else. That's how everyone in door to door does this. They see that guy can do it. It's like why couldn't I do it? You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you had anyone like that where you're like that's maybe your friends from tech that were realtors, but like they're doing it. How could I not do it
Yeah,
better?
that's kind of how I went about it. Really, is
Yeah.
like, uh, man. I think it all boils down to people that want to get into this industry or anything entrepreneurial, right? It just, as long as you have that drive behind you and you're able to, and your core purpose is to provide value to other people, you're gonna make it.
Right.
Bottom line, consistent action over time is going to push you to those goals.
Yeah, and consistent action. If you want to talk about other crazy Air Force mentality that Adam has going. So I didn't realize this really until he showed up today. But last night, I'm texting him. I was like, "All right, is 8:30 or 9 a.m. good?" He's like, Yeah, honestly, like the later the better. Like I just did, or he said I'm training for like half Ironman. I'm like 65 miles deep, and I thought he meant he was like. I didn't realize last night he literally did like a half Ironman just out of the funness in his heart. Just
Yeah.
how did this go down? Because I know last time I was with you, we played pickleball, and you're like, yeah, I ran a marathon yesterday. So this is mind blowing to me. I wake up at 5 a.m. and work out, but like doing a half Ironman or running a marathon, like how did you even get into this?
Yeah.
And what just happened like last night?
So I want to note that I am not a runner or
Okay.
somebody that's big into cardio. I'm big into weightlifting. And yesterday morning, I woke up and I thought I had COVID. Like I was like, man, I feel terrible. Woke up around 9 a.m. and I was like, didn't want to do any work, just kind of sluggish the whole day.
Mhm.
And come around like 2 p.m., I was like, man, this is like killing me. Haven't been productive today. It's something that like, man, I need to push myself. So I went out there at 4 p.m. yesterday and ran half an Ironman, which is 13.1 miles, 56-mile bike, and then 1.2 mile swim.
How much bike?
56-mile bike. Yeah, so all in all,
What?
70.1 miles. And
You did this last night?
last night,
So you started with like 6 miles, and you said, "Okay, I'm gonna go swim." You biked, or sorry, you swam. What was it?
1.2 miles, and
1.2.
then I biked the 56, and then I finished off that half. Yeah, and it just something that
So you just went into the gym and biked 56 on a
straight
bike?
up,
How long did that take?
2.5 hours.
Maybe I'm just like, dude, that's insane. 56 miles sounds nuts.
Yeah, it
But
was,
and then you went back and ran 6 more miles.
and then I ran, 6.5 miles. Finish
Jeez.
it off.
So what time did you get done?
I think I finished around 11ish. Yeah, so
Oh damn!
I
I'm
think
texting you going to sleep at 10:30, not realizing you're just
I'm still running out there,
finishing.
bro.
Dude, this is insane. I hope you don't give us COVID.
Yeah, but no, I don't have.
If
I
COVID's
tested
real.
for it, didn't have it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're that guy? Yeah, I don't even think I'd ever test for it again. But that's crazy. So you ran half Ironman last night. You've ran what? Spartan races, marathons?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one story I always tell is the first time I've ever ran a marathon. I had zero training. Went into this with me and my buddy. We ran down I-30, and man, it was single-handedly the hardest thing I ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Single-handedly.
Did you train for it?
No,
Oh,
that's
you
what I'm
said no
saying.
training?
Yeah, we were at the gym one night at like 7 p.m. He was like, "Man, have you ever ran a marathon?" I'm like, "No, I've always wanted to." And he's like, "Let's do it tomorrow." And I was like, "Screw it, let's do it." So we woke up at 3 a.m. and started at Panera Bread at 3:30.
Just y'all two by
Yeah,
yourself?
me and Colin Brown. Yeah,
Did he get it done too?
he got it done too.
What
Yeah,
was the time?
dude, I think it was like, don't quote me on this, like 5-ish hours or
Yeah.
so. But
That's insane.
it was pretty brutal. Just, I mean, I wasn't going anywhere fast by any means, but it was just,
Yeah, just getting it done. I think that's like the biggest thing for most people to realize is like everyone's so comfortable. Like it's so easy to be like, okay, I'm gonna go back. I don't really want to work out. I don't really want to make any calls or find a deal or talk to people to get a real estate deal, whatever it is. It's like so easy to just go sit, watch Netflix, do anything else. But the fact that you just wake up, run a marathon, like doing anything else isn't hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anymore. Like it sounds stupid, but it's like
100%.
that's how I feel whenever I did. Like I look at some of the stuff I do now. I'm like, you tell me that, and I'm like working out in the gym, and I'm like 45 minutes in, and I'm like tired. I'm like, damn, I can't even compare this. But or knocking doors for an entire summer for 10 hours. Like that's what started with me.
See,
It's like if I can do that for 4 months straight, like 9-10 hours a day, nothing's that hard after that. But most
Yeah.
people have never done something that hard.
yeah, when you definitely put yourself in situations like that, like knocking for 10 hours for 4 months, like that does so much to your mind. It's able
Yeah.
to, like, now whenever something small comes around, like today, it's like, okay, that's easy to overcome
Yeah.
because you've done this in the past.
There's a lot of days like that. There's some days you're like, everything's good. You got 3 deals under contract, and then the next day you're like 3 of the other deals you had blow up, and
Just
you're
fall
just like,
apart. Yep.
yeah, it can go so up and down. So it's a mental game for sure. But I always like whenever you're so quiet about that. I feel like you need to like post that on social media, or maybe you do. But like waking up the next day and just running a marathon or a half Ironman, like dude, you're gonna have a fall. You got Goggins mode right there if you just
Goggins mode. Yeah.
start posting about it. And I think you're going. Are you going to that?
I
tomorrow?
am going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's like, is it Aspire event or what is it called?
Aspire. Yeah.
So we got Pace Morby and all these other like David Goggins coming in town. But what is it?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban's going to be there. He did a workout with Mark Cuban, yesterday?
I did work out with Mark Cuban last week.
Last week? How was that? Was that just random, or did you know?
Man, it was just random. Yeah, I showed up at Lifetime Fitness in Dallas, and Mark Cuban was just next to the treadmill. And I was like, man, what's up? And we just hit a leg workout together.
Did you ask him, or was it part of a class?
It was a part of a class.
Oh, okay,
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So it was kind of set up.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I need to start going to Lifetime Fitness.
I'm saying we can make some deals work. Yeah.
I know, for real. Just get on Shark Tank out there.
I was gonna present the Granberry deal to him, but
oh yeah, you want to buy this shit box at the house in Granberry for $45,000. He might take it. He'd be like, okay.
It's
a great return.
Yeah, great return. Good for my portfolio.
But that's crazy. So I appreciate you coming on, though. I think, do you have like social media? What are your goals like moving forward? Are you trying to get more rental properties? I know you've like tried to invest on some of our deals too.
I'm big into like the long-term plays here. Mm-hmm. So rental properties, I'm getting really big into real estate notes. Okay. So holding these notes.
Tell someone real quick what about that was, because you said you bought a promissory note. I mean, just basic fifth grader level. Like, how does that work? It's
something that a lot of real estate agents, investors, anybody doesn't look at and kind of overlooked. So I found somebody on Facebook that had sold off this land to someone else, owner finance. So he sold it off at $61,000 at 11% interest rate, right? So there's that promissory note in place. The guy on Facebook sold it to me for a discounted price. So now I own this promissory note that's being paid out every single month a certain rate
at 11% interest.
At 11% interest over a price that I got it for a discount.
A discount? How much of a discount?
Like 68% of a discount. So
wow,
I think it came out to $40,000.
So you put $40,000. That's worth 60, right? Or has 60 left on it? Or how much was left on the home note?
Pretty much 60.
60?
Yeah, 61.
So you basically have 20,000 equity, and you're earning 11% interest on it.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then let's say for instance this guy defaults and just stops making the payments. I take back the property and then all the equity that he's put into it, and then I can sell it back again. So
go get another down payment or sell it out completely, or just charge another 11% interest rate to someone else.
Yep, that's the beauty of it, because even if he goes out and builds a house on it, well, boom, now I have first lien position on a property that now has a house on it.
Probably like, worth even more than
Yeah,
that's crazy. And when people like tie up their money in a lot of other things, whether it's 401k, Roth IRA, it's like if they just knew a little bit about the possibilities of if you have that capital to use, like put it into something, you can get 11% return.
That's what I'm saying.
You have a lot more control over it. I talked about I didn't even go into this, I think, with Nolan on the episode 3, but life insurance, like whole life, like we're putting money into something that you can still use rather than locking it up for 40 years.
That's what I'm saying. And then another thing about that is like, one, I put a lot of cash down on this deal, right? But let's say, for instance, Ben, or not specifically you, but somebody that's looking to get, I don't know, an 8% return on their investment, they come to me and they're like, hey, I'll give you the $61,000
just to get
for 8%. So now not only do I make the difference between 40 and 61, but then on top of that, I make that spread between the interest rates. Every month.
That's crazy. So if you want your capital out, you're like, hey, I'm just going to sell this note and then charge someone 8. Someone's happy with 8% interest. They're collecting, I mean, how much 100%. Is that a month on just like?
I think about $700 a month.
Yeah, just getting a passive $700 a month.
Or they would get 8%. So I don't know how that.
Yeah, but you're getting 700.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dang, you're collecting the passive income routes, dump the capital into stuff like that. It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Then you can scale that up. This is a small deal, but let's say you had, 20 of these notes. I know some
especially
big dogs.
If you found the deal. That's what we're looking at. Is like we find the deal, we're in like no money. Like I have a deal under contract to say, okay, if we need $12,000 to catch it up, we have a 4% interest rate, but we get $12,000 as a down payment, and now we charge 9-10% interest rate. So it's like your return is infinite if you're finding the deal and using other people's money.
Right.
But that's insane. Like those numbers are great either way. You don't have to always be the one that found it. That's sweet. So more rental properties, more investments that way. And still being an agent.
And then still being an agent. Yeah. Cause I I feel like all the knowledge that I'm gaining from the real estate investor side is really helping my business as an agent,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to take that value and kind of provide it to others in a way, kind of to give back essentially.
Right.
And I think that I love being an agent. I love helping other people buy and sell real estate, and if I can keep on continuing to grow my business there, that's just another
Yeah.
form of income.
It's nice. It's referral. A lot of it's referral
Mhm.
too. Like you don't have to go hunt
Absolutely.
for a ton of it, which is
Yeah.
nice. I think don't take that for granted because wholesaling is not that way. I mean, you can build it out to eventually be that, but it's like you're not getting
Yeah.
referrals and repeat business from people.
Exactly.
But that's cool. So I appreciate you coming on. How can people find you on like? Are you posting on social media about any of
Social
this?
media, yeah. Instagram is probably my biggest platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's Adam period K period Moore.
Okay, we'll put it
And
in the bio.
yeah, put it in the link in the
Put it in the
bio.
link. You'll probably just get like really scared and see videos of him just lifting
Yeah,
a
if
ton
you
of
want
weight and running through mud and stuff.
if you want to see me shirtless as a realtor and
Yeah,
selling deals, follow me.
yeah, exactly. Well, cool. I appreciate it. We'll get this out here soon, and everyone go follow Adam. If you got questions, I'm sure he'll answer your DMs. And if you need to list a house, buy a house in Texas
Absolutely, yeah.
or DFW,
Specifically DFW, but
yeah,
yeah.
here you go. He can help you out. I appreciate it though.
Yeah, thanks Ben.
We
Take
out.
care.